denied education, you were segregated. There were so many things happening in America at the time. This guy was very, very smart and did what he had to do to not just survive, but thrive. The new South African Parliament thought, let's try and manage this looming crisis in a better way. Let's be all-inclusive. Let's not just focus on Shaka Zulu, the king of South Africa. Great as he was, it was a time for all South Africans of different racial backgrounds to come together as one nation to celebrate. This is Africa, the cradle of mankind's birth, where powerful kingdoms arose with stories of worth. A youth-filled land, the youngest population, with diamonds and cocoa from its fertile foundation, exemplary leaders, their legacy told. Nkrumah, Mandela, their spirits bold. From Johnson Sirleaf's Liberia, where freedom lies, and her first female leader, so wise. Let courage and dreams unite as one for a brighter tomorrow where greatness is spun. In this beautiful, colorful, and friendly domain, greatness awaits, where hopes shall not wane, where tales of triumph weave a tapestry. Welcome to Today in African History. Now, this is one of those fascinating and intriguing stories that you come across once in a blue moon. The man pictured here is William Henry Ellis. He was an African-American businessman who challenged racial constructs in the United States by passing as Hispanic. He was born a slave to Charles and Margaret Ellis on the 15th of June 1864 and died on the 24th of September 1923. His parents had been brought by Joseph Weisiger from Kentucky to Texas in 1853. In 1870, Margaret Ellis's parents had gained their freedom and relocated to Victoria, Texas, where they established a home for themselves and their 7 children. So, of course, Margaret Ellis was the mother of William Henry Ellis. During his early 20s, Ellis was employed by William McNamara, a cotton and hide dealer, and constantly conducted business with Spanish-speaking businessmen. Eventually, Ellis made a name for himself in the trade. Around 1887, Ellis settled permanently in San Antonio, Texas, of course in the United States of America, and began calling himself Guillermo Enrique Ellis, spreading a fabricated story of his Cuban and Mexican ancestry in newspapers and social circles to conceal his real racial identity, thus enjoying some of the freedoms other African Americans could not experience at that time. He balanced these two identities for the rest of his life. As time went on, Ellis began embracing ideas of African American colonization abroad, especially in Mexico. He was once quoted as saying, "Mexico has no race prejudice from a social standpoint." Twice during the 1890s, Ellis attempted to create a colony for blacks in Mexico from the United States, from the southern United States, but failed. The first, started in 1889, fell through by 1891 due to lack of financial support and backing from the Mexican government. So this is an intriguing story. I wonder how many more African Americans had to disguise themselves as something other than African Americans, especially those who are very light-skinned. and could pass as other races. I'm sure there were many others just like him. He, of course, is the most famous of those people, passing himself as Mexican, and he did well. That is probably what made him a fortune. So, you know, as human beings, we want to survive. He did what he could, yeah, wrongly or rightly. People could judge him, or why did you lie about your racial heritage? Why is that even important? Why should race be important? He did what he had to do to survive. So kudos to him. In an America where if you were black, you were not given opportunities to move ahead in life, you were denied education, you were segregated. There were so many things happening in America at the time. This guy was very smart and did what he had to do to not just survive, but thrive. So that's the story of William Henry Ellis, the US slave who became a millionaire by pretending to be Mexican. On the 24th of September every single year, South Africa celebrates its National Heritage Day. Heritage Day is one of the newly created South African public holidays. It is a day in which all are encouraged to celebrate their cultural traditions in the wider context of the great diversity of cultures, beliefs, and traditions that make up the nation of modern-day South Africa. In KwaZulu, the 24th of September was formerly known as Shaka Day in commemoration of the legendary Zulu king. Of course, you can see his photograph on the thumbnail. When the proposed public holidays bill came before the new South African Parliament omitted Shaka Day, Inkatha Freedom Party, a South African political party with a huge Zulu membership, objected to the bill. Understandably so. They had a very powerful king who they were celebrating and wanted this to continue. But of course, the South African Parliament, the new South African Parliament, thought, you know, let's try and manage this looming crisis in a better way. You know, let's be all inclusive. Let's not just focus on Shaka Zulu, the king of South Africa. Great as he was, it was a time for all South Africans of different racial backgrounds to come together as one nation, to celebrate their diversity as a nation. A compromise was reached when it was decided to create a day where all South Africans could observe and celebrate their diverse cultural heritage. So that was what I was talking about a few seconds ago. In an address marking Heritage Day in 1996, former President Nelson Mandela stated, "When our first democratically elected government decided to make Heritage Day one of our national days, we did so because we knew that our rich and varied cultural heritage has a profound power to help build our new nation." In the vein of celebrating shared culture rather than focusing on cultural divisions, a recent initiative by the Braai for Heritage calls upon all South Africans to celebrate their common roots by having a braai, which is South African word for a barbecue, on Heritage Day. So they're going to have a barbecue today, which is South Africa's Heritage Day. So to our South African brothers and sisters, it's Happy Heritage Day today, September 24th. We've come a long way as a nation under apartheid. Now you are free as a nation, and we hope that South Africa continues to thrive, continues to go from strength to strength, and continues to remember her past leaders like Shaka Zulu, King Shaka Zulu, and of course Nelson Mandela, and many others. Happy Heritage Day again to our brothers and sisters from South Africa. Have a fantastic day. This brings us to the end of today's Today in African History. I hope that you learned one or two things from this video. You enjoyed watching the video as well. So if you do like what we're sharing here, I'd ask you to help our young fledgling channel grow by subscribing to the channel, turning on your notification bell so that we can share this video to more like-minded people. If you have been here before, you like what we're sharing here, you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Just help our young fledgling channel grow. That would be very, very much appreciated. Until tomorrow, it's hasta la vista. Bye-bye.